Hello, and welcome to Colorado Springs Hypnosis, your resource for hypnosis and personal empowerment. Today I want to talk to you about some ways that you can go out and actually find a hypnotist that's going to be a good match for you. And of course, these tips and techniques, they're nothing special, but they're just a good way for you to do some information digging and a little research on the front end to make sure that your experience is better on the back end. So I'd like to start off by talking about how hypnotists are not actually regulated in the United States. So unlike psychiatrists or nurses or doctors or anything like that who have these licenses that they have to sign up for and things like that, that is not a thing that you see so much with hypnosis and hypnotists. So that being said, let's talk about some things that you can look into to see if the person that you're looking at might be a good fit for you. So let's start out by talking about Colorado, because that's where our practice is. And Colorado is actually kind of a unique state because we have an organization called Department of Regulatory Agencies, also known as DORA, and they basically they kind of like overlook all sorts of different industries in this state. So it's not just hypnotists, but it's also psychotherapists and nurses and real estate agents and contractors. So, they're basically the tax collector. But anyways, in the state of Colorado, if you are a hypnotist, at least in the past, you were supposed to register as a unlicensed psychotherapist through DORA, which is something that we have done. Unfortunately, for future people that are interested in signing up for this, it will no longer be available. So we're going to have to see how the laws change on that one. And that's pretty much all I have to say about DORA. So next, let's talk about any sort of disclosure that your hypnotist may give to you. Most hypnotists are going to have some sort of disclosure talking about the kinds of things they can help you with, the kinds of things that they can't. For most of us, it should say something about how we don't diagnose or treat illnesses or prescribe medication and things of that nature, because that's really not in the scope of our practice. One place where that might be different is if you're working with someone who's a hypnotist but is also a psychiatrist or something like that, someone who can do those things, then perhaps they may be a little bit different. But also inside the disclosure, it should talk about the protection of your information and how that's going to happen. Again, in Colorado, we are required to protect the information of our clients, which is kind of a nice thing that is helpful about being part of DORA. And then also it should talk about refund policies and things like that. Pretty much just anything that you would want to know when you're going to do business with this person, and it'll give you an understanding of what you can expect throughout their treatment. So next, I'd like to talk about the qualifications that your hypnotist may have. Now, like I was saying, in the United States, hypnotists are not really regulated. And in fact, in most states, if you want to be a hypnotist, all you need to do is read a book or learn it from somebody and get a business license, and you're off to the races. That being said, there are quite a few guilds and organizations that do teach hypnosis, and they do set a bunch of standards for hypnotic techniques as well as ethics. One of those would be the National Guild of Hypnotists. That's a guild that I went and got my certifications through. They're very good, and also the International Certifying Board of Clinical Hypnotists is another really great one, and they do have a good code of ethics and everything as well. So when you go to look at your hypnotist's website or their social media or something like that, you will likely see crests for these organizations or for these guilds. And once you go take a look at those, you can of course go check out the websites of those guilds and organizations. And then from there you can see if that sounds like the kind of hypnotist that you're looking for. And of course, moving on, but staying on the topic of guilds, many of these guilds and organizations, they do offer a membership. And with that membership, you may have to do continuing education, and of course there will be, annual or monthly fees or something like that. So again, in the United States, it is not a legal requirement for hypnotists to stay and keep current with their organizations or anything like that, like you might see with like realtor guilds and things of that nature. However, if this is the kind of thing that you do find important, you can again go look at the guilds or whatnot that the hypnotist claims that they graduated from, and a lot of the times they do have lists of whoever their current members are. And last but not least, I do like to talk about reviews. Google reviews, Yelp reviews, social media reviews. Anytime that someone is running a private practice like we do, they are also, in fact, running a business. So more often than not, they should have their business registered with Yelp and Google and all these kinds of things. And of course, you can go onto the Google business site or whatever, and you can check out the reviews and see how well people have been doing. And on that note, I will take a moment to say, if you do work with a hypnotist or really with anybody, the fact that you go and leave a review and tell other people about your experience, that really is going to be helpful in helping those people understand whether or not they might want to use those services. So by all means, definitely do check reviews. All right, and so yeah, those are a couple of things that you can do beforehand, before you actually even make a phone call if you want to. Just to recap, if we are in California, you can check and see if your hypnotist is registered with DORA and see if they're in good standing there. Obviously, you can look over their disclosure and get a feel for what kind of practice they run. Also, you can check their qualifications and their guilds, and furthermore, whether or not they are still a member or not. And last but not least, by all means, go ahead and check the reviews to see if other people are having good experiences with these hypnotists. So anyways, I do hope that this information has been helpful for you. So please do feel free to like and subscribe and share it with anybody who might be thinking of finding a hypnotist. Hopefully some of these tips will help them find the absolute perfect person for them. Until then, have an amazing day.